Okay, so turn one. I play this, dealing 5,000 damage to you. Okay. Let's see. I have 10 life and can block for 7. 7. Cool. Good game then. Right. So you made this game then? Uh-huh. With a no-cost I win card. Yep. Okay. Why did you think that would be fun? I mean, it's casual. It's just a game, right? Yeah, but that wasn't a game. I just sat there and died. Like, shuffling took longer. Who's gonna like that? I mean, my kids love it. Yeah, I don't care. Your game sucks. You know, okay. Then maybe it's just not for you. No, maybe your game sucks. La 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 la, off to my Discord, troll! Buddy of mine, Bronson, who is like, he's like your fireside chat guy, by the way. Go find him, go sub to him, because he's got like 950 subs, and it's always fun to get somebody to 1,000. But he posed an interesting question. Why does fun gameplay have to be subjective?
All right, video number 2, where I try to rewire your brain and get you to believe that fun gameplay is not subjective. And the reason I'm doing this, the reason why I have a nefarious plot here, is because I think it's one of the biggest issues with the TCG industry overall.
Why? Why can't I take a game that is just, it wasn't fun, it doesn't check off any box at all? Why do I have to say, maybe it's just not for me? Maybe, okay, won't be one that I stick with. Why can't I just say, the game sucks? And it's an interesting question, and there's a couple directions to go with that. So I want to tackle that. I want to kind of respond a little bit to that, because I actually think that there's two things that the fact that we don't really have them in this industry is kind of hurting a lot. And so I want to chat about that, and I want to chat kind of that question specifically also. But it's been a little while since I've done beer. I got a new laptop. I'm in the living room. I'm trying some new stuff. I need to get out of the office. It's Friday, so I'm gonna crack a beer, and then we're gonna talk about it. Beer for the day is kind of fitting given, I guess, the topic here and my existence on this channel the last like week and a half. Misfit Red, boom, from Declutter Brewing in Baltimore, Maryland. American Red Ale, 5% alcohol. That's about it. I like this. Misfit or Visionary? I feel ya. I think there's a lot to unpack there. I got my old Colorado craft beer day also, because we do that, and like 100 some odd breweries get a make the same glass, and so yeah, Coloradans can just try to collect these things. Anyway, and really, that's not the worst of pours. It's been a while since I poured one. Anyway, all right, I'm just gonna do halvesy of that. I'm gonna let's try it. I haven't tried this before yet either. Okay. That's pretty good. Good job, Dewclaw. Reds tend to be real bold, real malty. Nothing insane going with them. I'm a fan. Anyway, let's talk. Let's talk about Bronson and that question. Why can't fun be subjective? The way that he posed this is similar to kind of what the opening of this video was, where he made up a game that is just bad.
Let me propose to you a new TCG that, Uncle Bronson right here created, right? And I'd like for you to all consider this. So it involves 2 players. Each has 1 blank card in their hand. And what you do in this new game that I've created, right? Let's put this example here, is both players stare at the card for a period of time until one of the players passes away. That is my game. And what do you think about that? Do you think that's a subjectively fun game? Do you think, oh, well, it's not for me, but it's subjective if that's a good or bad game?
Which is bad. In this game, he's got 2 cards, or he's got 2 players, and they stare at a card. That's all they do. They stare at a card until one of them passes away. Kind of a crappy card game. However, if you really want to get dark, like, how's that fun? Well, maybe like, what if you're on a raft, right? You're on a raft for like 7 days with a buddy. Death is imminent. It's within minutes. And you're like, I got a way to go out. Let's play this game. Again, there's your subjective, right? That's your, here are all the things wrong with it, and this sounds terrible. And then somewhere out on the internet, because the internet is going to come in and say, it's like, I know a scenario where this is good and where this is fine. 2 people on a raft. There you go. I told Bronson I was going to make it real dark. So that's where I landed with how to make that game fun. But the thing about it is that that's me coming up with a pretty extreme example. And both of these, his and then mine are fairly extreme examples, but they also kind of point out what the issue is, or at least one of my issues is. But I'm going to answer the question directly. Why can't fun game, or why does fun gameplay have to be subjective? Here's my thought. Well, it's because the word fun is subjective. What people call fun is subjective. What people find fun is subjective. And I think in that understanding, and that's, in being able to embrace that, it also brings with it a little bit of a solution of how to perhaps solve this issue. Because when you go out and you talk about card games and multiple card games, there's not like, he also mentioned things about like a ranking system. Like, I can't rank a bunch of different card games. It's really hard to do that. Yeah, you can assign stars. You can do what like Board Game Geek does and whatnot. And there are a couple sites that try to rank XYZ, but no matter what, the majority are going to look and be like, no, this is off. This is out of order. And no matter what, even with that ranking, nobody can really definitively say that game sucks. Some people can say that game sucks, but then others are going to say, it's like, I really happen to enjoy the things that you don't like. And then you get right back into this spiral of bad. So how the hell do you solve that? I originally thought it was just one thing. I really thought it was just one needed thing. I even had a whole plan for a video where I was going to make it say the one thing that can save the TCG industry. And I had a whole, like, my cold open was going to be like a clickbait button that I hit, and I had a whole plan. And then I thought about it and was like, wait, I think I got something else. So, given the idea, if you're willing to agree with me on that fun is subjective, and that's kind of what creates this issue, maybe you'll go with me a little bit further. I've got 2 ideas for you that I think will really help this problem that we have. Number 1, I'm going to drink from Dramatic Effect. Dramatic Effect, here we go. And this is going to sound real stupid. It's going to be like, what? That's it? It's not some big secret. It's going to just sound dumb. But this is the one that I was going to do the video on just by itself. This is the one thing that I thought originally is all that we needed. Adjectives. That's it. Adjectives. That's all that I had. I think it would do a lot. Here's the problem. You have a game, I have a game. Or I should say, you're a player, I have a player, and there's a game. It's over there. I have my own set of expectations and things that I enjoy. And I take a look at that game, and I love it. You have your own expectations, understanding all those things, and you look at the same game, hate it. Doesn't check any of your boxes. We're in the same Discord, we're in the same community, we're in the same comment section, we're existing in the same lot of things, and I get to say I love the game, and you have to say you hate the game, and it's because we came in with the same set of expectations. We both started at an equal bar there. Because every game that's out there is lumped into the same grouping of TCG. That's it. Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, MetaZoo, Genesis, Flesh and Blood. All of these that are coming out, sorcery, cryptic. Take the hundreds that are happening. TCG. And that's what you have to start with. That's going to bring in the swarms of people who are like, I love card games. Let's go take a look at this one. And there's no clarifying information. It's like walking into a car dealership, right? And saying, I need a car. What? That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't say anything. You need to ask clarifying questions in order to get somewhere, and the internet does not really provide a good avenue to do that, because before you can get to that point, it's all, I love this or I don't. The community has swarmed, and they have made the decision on whether something is good or bad, while in the meantime, those who are really looking for something good are saying, like, I need more information. I need to know more. I need a different set of expectations. I'm one of those who, I like being the main, I like being the hero, being the champion, being whomever. So maybe that's like a role play style, or an identity based, like a Flesh and Blood, where instead you are in fact a character. You choose a character, and that character drives what you do. Or maybe you have, maybe you like to do the monster slinging thing. Maybe you like the cute animation stuff. Maybe you like the eye candy TCGs, and that you gravitate towards those. You're very focused on kind of the artwork and the shiny, and that's what you want to play, because you want to bring out that just like all foil gorgeous deck. Maybe you like the highly collectible. That's a big one nowadays. There's a lot of just different ways to set better expectations, so that way I don't look at just a trading card game. I spend time doing some research and say, this doesn't resonate with me. Like, I don't like this. And then I find myself inspired to go into the comment sections and whatnot and say, your game sucks, when all that really happened was the things that you chose to emphasize are not things that I'm interested in. Because I couldn't see that in advance, because I had to go digging, because I had to, because I didn't get any inkling. Beginning, I put you at the same level of something that I would really enjoy. And now I'm providing opinions, and now it's this back and forth, arg, this bad, this not. I'm not even going to touch what happens if the game thinks it's going to the moon. But it's expectation setting. I think it's one of those things that really got Flesh and Blood, because it was a very different game, right? Mm-hmm. You're looking at things like Magic. And Magic is kind of like, Magic is an engine builder. Like a lot. Most of the time it's an engine. Like, I've got a board that's going to synergize like crazy. That's not really how Flesh and Blood functions. It's not, I'm not like slowly building toward an end game, unless you're Data Doll. Unless you're Data Doll or Dash, but Data Doll's better at it if she can get there. Whatever. That's a whole different problem. Anyway, in Flesh and Blood, you are, it is that turn, what you have in that turn and that moment. That's what you got. That's what you got to work with, as opposed to kind of Magic and these other games where Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's like, I've got a whole board state, and that board state is going to work together to make something magic happen. And that's that's a different style for some people. Some people really like the engine style, and I think that's again, that's expectation setting. That's coming in and saying, I used to play Magic. I see Flesh and Blood. I don't like it. Why? Well, I like being able to have a board state that does a whole bunch of things. Okay, well, that was never what Flesh and Blood was intended to be. It's not bad, it's that it's different. Well, I still married it up to the same expectations, because all you said it was a new TCG. And they said it was a classic TCG, I think is where they started it. So, but like that, I'm not sure how I feel about that adjective. But still, expectation setting. It starts the dialogue in kind of a weird place. And I think it would help. I'm a new game. I'm gonna put in 1 or 2 words ahead of trading. I'm gonna put in my little intro, my little 1-sentence pitch. Here's specifically the things that make us unique, so that way I don't have to deal with, I came in putting you on the same level as my favorite game of all time, and you didn't check off the boxes, and now I'm mad and angry, and I don't know why you can put yourself in that same place. Well, we didn't have another place to put it. It's all TCG. Adjectives. And I think that would help start a lot. But I guess I'll ask you on this one, like, how would you do it? Because is there enough, are there enough categories that you can make like 4 or 5 very specific ones, very specific groups of TCG, and then yeah, naturally they're going to get into your subgroups and whatnot. But can we come up with like a short list that we can just place some of them in, without having like the other category. I'd like to avoid that. But I wonder if that's a thing. Maybe we can. Internet, I invite you. But that's number one. That's the first thing. I said that there were two. Because no matter what, that doesn't actually answer Bronson's question. That doesn't actually answer kind of why we can't say that games suck. Why, it's no matter what, expectations, all that does is simply kind of remove people from the conversation that says the games suck, because now they've got a little bit more information to go in before they do a bunch of research. It's a little of a preventative measure. But it doesn't change the fact that even if you say you're a tactical or you're a dude bashing or whatever it is, even if you say that, it doesn't mean that you've made it fun. So that leads to the second thing that I think the industry is really missing. That I think would help an absolute ton. Number two, pausing for dramatic effect. One of the things that Bronson said towards the end of the video was the idea of ranking. And not just general ranking, but actually having a site where reviews come together, their average, which is Board Game Geek. Which, Bronson, how have you not heard of Board Game Geek? Really? Really? Okay, anyway. Side note. But he talked about a ranking system. Reviews are averaged. You get a ranking. Flesh and Blood, for example, is sitting at an 8.2. Genesis, 8.3. Take that. But at the same token, that doesn't mean that Genesis is better than Flesh and Blood. They're wildly different games. It's hard to compare the two. The same people who are going to like Flesh and Blood are probably not going to like Genesis. I hope they do, but like, again, that goes back to the adjective thing. Incredibly different expectations between those two. They check off very different boxes. The ones who saw it and was like, I like these boxes that were checked, hopped onto Board Game Geek, said yes, it checked off the boxes. And it's a numbers game at that point. And I think that leads to what my number two is of the thing that is needed in the industry. And I think this is one that the internet can really help with. Are non-subjective card game traits that can be placed on a scale. And I'm not saying like good or bad. I'm not saying like a 1 is bad and a 10 is good on this. I think that there are truly just different sides that you can put. I'll give you a good example. Kitchen table versus competitive. What does the company want you to do with this game? What is the makeup of this game? Is it, the ones that are a little bit more gimmicky, and I'm gonna say MetaZoo, I kind of put more in that kitchen table game. They're more, I put it more in that side with like the fourth wall mechanics and whatnot. That's over there versus that really highly competitive where it's, you're rocking meta. There's, like RNG isn't a thing really outside of, drawing the deck and whatnot. But like, kind of your dice games, your Destiny, the Destiny draw type of games might sit a little bit more in that category. Maybe there's a different scale for that. Luck-based versus strategy. Maybe there is, I'm trying to think of some others. Instinctual versus strategic or long game, or I don't even know what that would be. Of like, again, kind of like like a Flesh and Blood versus a Magic. Magic can be very engine building, build up the engine and off we go. Flesh and Blood is you're in the moment. You are operating off of instinct and what you have right there. Two ends of the spectrum, right? And I think that would go a long way to be able to look at things like, I know the boxes that I check. Here are the boxes that work for me. I'm looking for a game that has this, 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 this. It's kind of like, why do you like a game, right? Why do you like this game? And then you list off things. And I think that some of those things can exist on a scale. Again, not good, bad, but more towards this or this, like a personalysis test, like a TCG Myers-Briggs. But I think it would go a long way. So I could look and be like, I'm in for tactical. I want something that is tactical. I want something that is competitive. And those are the two things that are really important to me. Or I want something that is like really, that is very, very collectible. I want that. I want the shiny stuff. I want that thrill, the pride right? Of like an all foil or something like that. And that's a game that really caters to that. That's a game that's really excited about that. By the way, Genesis, if you want to all foil Genesis, good on you. Good luck. Um, um, but I think that would be a really good thing. And I think that there are things that the internet can come up with that, again, are not exactly subjective. Once again, depending on maybe where they sit, might be a little subjective. But I think it's better to have a bunch of things that are pretty fairly clear the experience you're going to get, instead of simply just saying good, bad. That's led to enough crap. That's led to enough frustration and struggle. And I'm going to go and point back to MetaZoo, where a lot of people look at MetaZoo, and a lot of those who have been playing competitive games look at MetaZoo and try to play it and be like, no. No. There are lists of reasons of things that are issues, like the fourth wall and randomness and the tempo and whatnot. But on the flip side, there are things, that there's a group that really likes it. Love the characters, love being able to play with those characters, the thrill of being able to put that down, the fun of the fourth wall mechanics, kind of the gimmick, right? And that could be another one, like gimmicky versus like straightforward or whatnot, which could be simply just like, how much is the game kind of playing with you, the player, right? How much are they kind of dorking around with you? And MetaZoo is like in like as far as you can be on that with those fourth wall mechanics, and that's something that gravitate. I could see that list and be like, it's super. I like that. Okay, super gimmicky, neat. I think that can go a long way. I think that could also help prevent a lot of this anger and frustration that we have when we see all these new games come out on Kickstarter and we say, what is this? Why are you even a part of this space? And I also think, to you creators out there, to you game creators out there, you can see the spectrum, be like, where exactly do I fit? And I can judge myself. And I like that first stage, the playtesting, does it fit where I want to be? Like, what kind of game do I want to be? Here are the metrics. Here are the characteristics that I really want to hit. Here's what I like in games, and here's what I built. Do they hit them? And if they don't hit them, do they hit the other side? Like, are they too much on the other side of that? I think it'd go a long way. So, what do you think? So on one side, I've got adding adjectives and setting those expectations and being able to be like, first glance, I've got 5 seconds to understand what your game is, and I've got more than it's just a part of the TCG sphere where everybody exists. That's one. And two, instead of kind of like that definitive good-bad ranking, I don't think you're ever really going to get there, scales, traits. Again, I'm just going to stick with like the TCG Myers-Briggs, because that just might be something I try to build out of. Maybe it isn't necessarily just straight up good or bad. Maybe it is specific characteristics that a game is based off of that are opposite from each other. They just happen to be opposite from each other, that aren't as subjective of where they land, but really can help guide people towards if this is going to be a game that they might be interested in. And I think, again, those would go a long way, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you like kind of the Myers-Briggs idea, if you like going that route, I'm really like set on it. Like, I really love to figure out if there's like 5 or 6 scales that cover every base for a card game that we can start putting things on. Again, the rules are, it's not bad versus good. Can't exactly do that. But still be able to, again, expectation setting. The game's going to suck to you, but at least you know why ahead of time for, it doesn't hit the spectrum that you want it to be on. It doesn't hit those sides of the scale. So there you go. That's what I got. Would love your thoughts. Would love what you think would be good. I think I'm going to try to put some of that together myself, and see what I come up with, and I'll share it with you. And maybe we can, in fact, revolutionize and declutter this industry a little bit. This shiny age of TCGs where there's so much out that's so different. And unlike in the 90s, we have the internet where everybody can grade and judge and all collide together. And all right now, all that we're capable, apparently, of being able to say is something's good and something's bad. I think we can have a smarter conversation. I don't think we are now. I don't think we've set ourselves up for that, but I think we can, and I think those two things are going to be the way to get there. So, would love your thoughts. Would love your comments. That's going to end it for me. You guys have an awesome weekend. And again, special thanks to Bronson for bringing up the idea in the first place. Go subscribe. He's real close to 1,000. Go, 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 go. Cheers, everybody.